Welcome to Tribulation 5/15, 2011. Today is July 23rd, 2012. Here in San Jose, California, we have another spectacular day. It's about 72 degrees. The sun is out. The skies are amazingly clear and blue. That being said, the weather here has still been odd, to say the least. Like this morning when I was walking my dogs, the wind was blowing out of the southeast, and it was a cold wind, which I just thought was a little peculiar because coming from the southeast, I would just expect the wind to be warmer. But as a whole, it makes for a pretty good day here in San Jose. We've reached day 445 of the tribulation, of my personal witness and testimony to the tribulation that is unfolding right in front of my eyes. What I will tell you is the world continues to spiral downwards into chaos. And my friends, for the last couple of videos, I've told you that the tribulation, is beginning to shift into high gear. As far as the tribulation blog, we've already reached the 1-year anniversary. So, and that's shown just by the fact that we're on day 445. A year has 365 days. But officially, the stake I planted for the tribulation, especially over on Operation End Times, was September 30th, 2011, as the start of the 70th week, as foretold by the Bible in the books of Revelation and the books of Daniel in the Old Testament. So we haven't even reached the 1-year anniversary as far as September 30th is concerned. But that being said, we just have all sorts of stuff happening. First and foremost, I just want to send out my condolences and my sympathies to all the families and friends and the people of Aurora, Colorado, where they had the horrific massacre and shooting of the people at the premiere opening of the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises. James Holmes was in court today. He had that flaming orangey red hair, which I already talked about. If you go over to Operation End Times, my last video there, I kind of talked about what that was all about. And yeah, you know what? He looks like a guy that's possessed, of an evil spirit. I don't care what the experts say. I don't care how many psychiatrists get out there and try and tell us, oh, he's, got some kind of mental disorder. No, what he was is he was a lost soul. He was walking around an empty vessel, and he fell to the dark side, and something even darker got into him, an evil spirit. And, Aurora, basically means the dance of the spirits, the lights you see up in the sky. But I tell you, my friends, that is what is upon us. We had the first coming, or the first birth, back on 11/11/2011, where we had Saturn coming out of Virgo, and some kind of portal or gate was opened. All sorts of occult people, New Agers, you name it, dark side people were praying, chanting, meditating. There was 13 skulls that were being transported across the United States. There was some kind of portal opening ceremony that was held out in the desert. And I tell you, my friends, someone or some things, I think it's some things as in plural, entered onto our plane of existence, and they may just be in spiritual form, but they're evil spirits, my friends. The spirits of the original fallen angels. And you'll have to go read your Bibles, and there's people like one of the ones, you could check out some of his videos. He talks about what that's all about. But I'm not going to really dive into it because we're going to try and stay on topic with the tribulation that's unfolding right in front of us. But of course, I just want to tell all my viewers, there's a lot of darkness. The darkness is spreading as we speak, but there's also a silver lining. There is a light, and that is, the kingdom of God is beginning to manifest itself in a powerful way. So there's good news in the midst of it all. And despite the tragedy and the darkness that happened out there in Colorado, in Aurora, Colorado, if you checked it out yesterday, they were having the memorial services, and there were more people in that town praying to God than probably have been praying to God in a long time. So even in the midst of darkness, the light of God shines forth, and good manifests out of evil. That's the truth of it. So hopefully, people's eyes were opened up, not only in Aurora, but in the United States and around the world. Not only to the darkness that is covering the earth, but also to God's hand that is at play as well. And, once again, the end of the movie, good always wins. So make sure, when you choose which path that you're going to walk down, you choose the right side, the side of light. Otherwise, you'll be on the side that James Holmes is on, the dark side. And I tell you, spiritually he was an empty vessel, or he willingly chose to go to the dark side. And he did a despicable, inexcusable act of evil. And I'll tell you, my friends, it was some kind of a blood sacrifice in preparation for the second coming, the second birth, which is upon us. And that's going to happen on July 28th of this month, when Saturn comes out of Virgo for the second time. Because Saturn went into retrograde and went back into the womb, and it's now coming out a second time. So there's a second coming. And, this time around, I think it might be singular, because it might be, the Antichrist or Satan himself that's going to come on down to this planet, and at least appear to get the upper hand for a short period of time. And, there might be other things that are being unleashed, in coordination with this. There's kind of a bunch of stuff to kind of go through, but I will throw out there that there's a big earthquake warning that is being put out there for July 28th, and that's because Mercury, Mercury was in retrograde in Cancer, which is kind of like another bad sign, but Mercury is going to be aligned with Earth and the Sun. And I'll tell you, my friends, when that happens, the last 13 times, I think 12 out of 13 times, there's been huge earthquakes here on Earth. So the 28th, which I do believe is Saturday, the Sabbath, it's also a Jewish, it's AV 9, I think. I may have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a Jewish holiday, like when the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, both times. So once again, the 28th, it's not the second coming of Christ, even though I'll tell you honestly, I can't say that with absolute certainty, because I don't know. I don't get those kinds of visions, but I don't think we're going to see the second coming of Christ on July 28th. I think it's more the beginning of something really bad. And all the signs kind of point to that, We got this guy James Holmes doing this, unbelievable act of evil. Here locally, things aren't much better. About 2 weeks ago, I was walking my dogs down by the creek, and I walked upon some dark evilness as well. As I was walking on my side of the creek, I heard a woman shouting out the most vain and profane things, and some of my homeless brothers were saying, "Demon, get out of her!" And I ended up going across the creek, and sure enough, there was a woman that she was not only high on drugs, on meth. And you know what? That's one of the signs, one of the tools of the devil, which is methamphetamines. And it's just like if you look at in the days of Noah, his grandfather was Methuselah, which sure sounds a lot like meth user, And I'm not saying Methuselah was a meth user, but I'm just saying, the Bible has multiple layers to it, past, present, and future. And, Jesus says in the end days, it'll be like the days of Noah. So, maybe we don't have Methuselah walking around, but we got meth users walking around. It is a scourge and a bane of the world right now, and especially here in the U.S., man. The drug addiction to meth is incredible. So, me and several of my brothers, we've been praying for, people who are addicted on drugs. We've been praying for law enforcement to step up their game. And you know what? I prayed hard for that woman that I found down at the creek 2 weeks ago, because she was not only high on meth, but I believe she was possessed as well. And there's something dark and hideous that's happening down at the creek with the homeless people. People that are poor and homeless, they're closest to God in a lot of ways, because when you got nothing, all you got is God. But at the same time, they're also in the trenches, in the front lines of the spiritual warfare, and Satan can't wait to get his clutches on them. And, from talking to my homeless brothers and sisters down there, there's been a lot of darkness down there. There's been some stabbings. There was a murder. There's encampments. I've shown that in some of my past videos, but they said people came in with masks on and were just having a stab fest trying to kill them and take their stuff, what little they got. But the good news is one of the brothers down there said, Ben, you need to go over to the Church of the Chimes, because they got a program where they're trying to help us. And that's the good news, my friends, because when God's Spirit is upon me, I listen. And, the Spirit of God said, Ben, you need to go over to the Church of the Chimes, which I did. And I met their pastor, Pastor Dwight. He's a super nice guy. And that church is filled with people that are filled with the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to go over there this coming Saturday night and talk to the people that are running the program for the homeless, that are helping the people down at the creek. And I'm going to see what I can do to help. Because like I say on this blog all the time, if you're on the right side, you're seeing the light, you're walking with God, then you need to be a positive force. You need to be a Jedi warrior for Jesus. And, I'm going to do my part and see what I can do to, share some love and some compassion and be a light to the homeless down at the creek by my house. But there's something evil down there right now. And you know what? I'm not going to walk away from it. I'm going to meet it head on. Other crazy events, our beloved President, Barack Obama, he may not know what the hell he's doing as far as the economy, which is on the brink. The stock market was down over 200 points today. I think it only closed down 100 and something. But, our own economy, the United States, is teetering on the brink. Our debt is out of control. Our do-nothing Congress is doing nothing. The Eurozone, Spain is on the brink. Italy, Greece, all of that, the dominoes are still falling, and it is sending the stock market tumbling. I've told you, I've tried to give you some advice to get your money out of the stock market. So if you're still playing in the stock market, then you're playing with fire, my friends. But we are quickly approaching the precipice, the cliff, the financial cliff. And you know what? Before anything changes in America, we can't even stand at the edge of the cliff, because we still won't do nothing. So we're going to go over the edge and be hanging by like a blade of grass. And it's only then, when, that last little piece of grass, if it breaks, we go tumbling into the abyss. It's only then something might happen. But we'll have to see, my friends. But we are in dark times. And our beloved President Barack Obama, seems to be fairly clueless about it. And of course, around the world, the drums of war are beating. Our beloved president, the one thing he does do good is being our comforter in chief. And, he was out there in Aurora yesterday, and, God bless him. I'm praying for our president. I'm praying for God to guide our president, to lead him down the path that he needs to walk down, because if he's not on that path, then that's even more bad news for America. Because I'll tell you, my friends, in the Bible, it's clear that when a nation's leader, starts walking on the dark side, then that whole country starts walking on the dark side. Your country cannot be blessed if your leader is not following the will of God. And, that's the ironic thing is, I was watching a movie, God Bless America, which has a guy shooting everybody in the movie theater. I was watching it the very night that James Holmes went on his shooting spree, So, I could just say it's a coincidence, but there are no coincidences, my friends. But I'm going to pray for our president. We should all pray for our president. But today, he's coming out to California, to Oakland, and they say he's going to be talking at the Freemasons Masonic Lodge, the Scottish Masonic Lodge in Oakland. And, they just had the Bohemian Grove meeting, which it's all occult, Illuminati, rule by secrecy, BS. Bush was there, now Obama's there. It's all the leaders of the world, making their sinister plans together. And none of it bodes well for us, my friends. And that's why I say we need to pray for our president like never before. But he's at the Masonic Lodge today. What's he doing there? Why is he there? And I'm not saying everybody in a Masonic Lodge is evil, because I think, there's the underlings where they're just clueless. They don't even know why they're there. People want to belong to things, whether it's clubs, the Boy Scouts, the gun club, whatever, like people, that's the nature of humans, they want to belong to something. So a lot of people are clueless and they just belong to stuff. It's the people at the highest levels, the principalities in high places. They're the ones that are doing the sinister plans. But financially the world is a mess, and of course around the world, the war in Syria now is escalating. Syria is threatening to use chemical weapons on anybody that dares attack them. And when they say anybody, they're talking about America, Britain, or Israel. And of course, a bunch of bombs went off in Iraq. Over 100 people were killed there. People are being massacred in Syria, in Damascus. There's another town, the name of it kind of slips my mind, but, between the tanks shelling the people and them gassing people, it's just pure evil, my friends. And yet, America, we don't seem to be doing anything about it. The days of America being a beacon of light may be over. Is God blessing our country anymore? You have to ask that question. And that's why we need to pray for America. We need to pray for our president. We need to pray for our law enforcement officials. We need to pray for our military. Iran is threatening. North Korea is threatening. We are on the verge, the precipice of World War III, my friends. All the same conditions that existed prior to World War II, including the Olympics. Because that's what happened prior to World War II, is there was an Olympics where, Hitler did his thing. And now we got the Olympics opening up in the UK, and everything about it is occultic and Illuminati, and everybody's predicting some kind of an attack or some kind of event happening. Israel is afraid that they're going to be attacked. The security at the Olympics is a mess. The contractor that was handling it completely botched it, so now they got the military trying to step in and do something. But either way, and it opens up on the 28th, so man, everything's kind of aligning in this spooky, weird way, man. And my spider senses are telling me that all hell's going to break loose in about a week. The weather around the world, the sun, it keeps blasting off these solar flares that are class 10, where if they actually were aimed at Earth, they'd be blowing out our electrical grid, shutting down our satellites. There's coronal holes rotating into view. And once again, Mercury is lining up with the sun and the Earth, and possibly a coronal hole. So none of that bodes well. It means more crazy weather, more earthquakes, more volcanoes going off. We got a volcano in New Zealand that's erupting. So volcanoes all around the world are going off. We got flooding, apocalyptic storms, not only here in America, but China. They just had like 18 inches of rain. There's flooding everywhere, huge mudslides, hundreds of people being killed. Japan had flooding and mudslides. Australia has flooding and mudslides. Canada has flooding and mudslides. So, once again, if you're living in some kind of a bubble or hedged in existence where you just happen to have a job and your life's going okay, hey, God bless you. If you can find a channel where the sun is shining, or you can turn it to MTV and watch Snooki and the Boys and get a laugh, hey, God bless you. But the time is coming when the bubble's going to pop and your eyes will be opened up to the tribulation that is unfolding. So I can only recommend that you open your eyes now versus later. Don't wait for the tornado to be ripping your front door off of your house. And get yourself right in your mind, because if you're not, the default position is to walk down the path of destruction, the wide, broad path of destruction, where you're worried about your 401k and your house and your money and your gold. And, the last thing on your mind is God and your spiritual welfare, But if get your mind right and get your heart in the right place, you know what? You might just make it through what's about to unfold, you know, in the next couple of months. Because I'm telling you, leading up to 12/21, it's just going to get more intense and worse. You know, a couple of little final notes. You know, it's kind of like the Four Horsemen, but you know, we not only got crazy weather, we not only got war, but you know, even pestilence. You know, like disease. You know, they say that there's drug-resistant strains of AIDS now that are, and you know, AIDS, we could barely stop it the first time. So if it becomes drug-resistant, then once again, it's just going to blow up all around the world. But there's other diseases, you know, whether it's the flu or West Nile. You know, here in San Jose, we got West Nile all over the place. They're constantly spraying the mosquitoes, and you know, we got a blight of crows, so birds spread West Nile. You know, there's infections everywhere, staph infections, you know, stuff that our penicillin and our antibiotics, you know, can't cure anymore because they're all mutating. They're all becoming drug resistant. And that goes for our livestock and our plants and flowers and trees and our crops as well. You know, one of the ones just showed around his house, everything's dying. But if you look closely, that's happening all around the world. You know, things are withering up. There are mutations and spots on leaves where things just aren't right. Why? Because we have destroyed this world with, you know, genetic modification, with chemicals, radiation from the sun, from Fukushima. You know, our environment is probably messed up beyond repair. And that's why, my friends, I'm telling you, we are in the final week, you know, approaching the end of an age, the age of us destroying God's created planet. You know, why? Because we thought that we could do it better than God. So, hey, we'll just modify this and modify that, you know, because God didn't do a good enough job. And, you know, that's part of the deception, you know, the dark side telling everybody, hey, we are gods. We're all going to be elevated. Let's just keep walking down this path we're on, where we can make a better apple, we can make a better ear of corn, we can, you know, we can give you the cures to all the diseases that we're causing. Or there'll be a false God saying, I can do all that. But either way, it's not going to be the true God. Because the truth is, there is only one truth and there's one God. And he made this planet perfect the first time he did it. And the last thing we needed to do was think that we were better than God and that we could fix the planet, because it didn't need to be fixed. We're the ones that screwed it up. So anyway, my friends, that is the tribulation for today. The bright side is that God is working in a powerful way. And we're going to soon get to a new day, a new age. God's going to restore everything back to the way it should be. Perfect. You know, as the kingdom of God unfolds in front of us, you know, he's going to clean up the rivers. He's going to get rid of the chemicals. But, you know, might get a little messy in between here and there. So keep your head up, think positive, do something nice, and meet your tribulation head on, my friends. Stay thirsty. All right. God bless y'all.